Hey there, YouTube Nation. Knife Guy Rick here with another knife review. And today we are looking at the Kershaw Scallion. Let's go ahead and pop this open. Boom. So this is a assisted flipper. This is a design by Ken Onion. I think this is a knife that some of you might be familiar with. It's been out a long time. I want to say this was originally designed back in the late 90s, possibly early 2000s. Essentially, if some of you aren't familiar, Kershaw is an American knife maker that is somewhat of a budget. They seem to be kind of about half price as far as what some of the higher end American made knives are. So they're more on the affordable range. So anyway, today we're going to do a review of this. I've had the knife for about 3 months, so I've been using it a little bit on and off, and I actually really enjoy it. But I think, as always, we're going to start with just kind of showing you the box it comes in. Again, it's a budget knife, American-made budget knife, so it's made in America. But it just has a very simple box. You know, it's a very simple, there's your made in the USA. I don't even know if I still have the plastic that it came in inside here. But yeah, it just comes with, it came in a piece of plastic like this. And then, a little manual. So, and this manual wasn't necessarily specific to the Scallion, just kind of talks about the flipper in general, because he has several different sizes and kind of offerings the Ken Onion does as far as designs with this assisted flipper. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into the video. So there's the box for you. I don't know, because these are budget knives, I'm not sure if you would have to worry about counterfeit versions of these, but it's always nice to know what kind of box they come in. So let's go over the specifications, and I just want to be quiet so you can hear this. There's that snap. So the blade length is actually just under 2.5 inches. So if you had a scenario where you had to have a blade that's under 2.5 inches, this will do that. Just, barely under, 2.5. So I guess for all in purposes, you just maybe call it a 2.5 inch blade, but it is actually just slightly under. The overall handle length here is 3.5 inches. So the knife is just under 6 inches total, again, because the blade's not exactly 2.5. So it's a smaller knife. Let's go ahead and compare it to some knives that you're used to either seeing on the channel or you possibly have. So there's the PM 2, and here is the PM3. Again, this is a full-size knife here. This one is, so that's a 3.2 inch blade or 3.3 inch blade. This one is just under 3 inches, this blade here, and so that's 2.5. So it's definitely a smaller size knife, more of a gentleman's knife, or have in an office, have, in a setting where you maybe don't want to have a larger knife. So comparing it to this full-size knife, that's, a larger blade and everything, probably doesn't make a lot of sense. I'm going to put this up here and then, get out another kind of, sub 3 inch. So again, you can see how much smaller this is in comparison to my Osborne. This is the mini one, the mini Osborne. So it's that 945, not the 940, but the 945. So 945, that's the small mini version. This is the sub 3 inch, it's 2.93 inch blade. So you can see that this is definitely, it's smaller. So there's a little size comparison, if you will. I think this knife, for how small it is, you hear 2.5 inch blade, and it's shocking how good it fits in the hand. I've actually been pretty impressed with the size of it. that it's the functionality. It feels very user-friendly, even though it's a small knife. So it's got your basic drop point, hollow ground knife, but it's cool. It has this little bit of a swoop in it right here. I find that if you were cutting wire or something, this little inside section is kind of nice. And then you still have a nice, point to be able to pierce things as needed or do more fine cuts. There it is, the Ken Onion design. And then you'll notice the clip here is, most of Ken Onion's designs are tip down carry, which I know are sort of, not in style right now. Everyone wants tip up carry, with deep carry pocket clip. But this is a style that was popular, 20 years ago, the tip down, and you have a little bit showing like this. But I honestly just drop this in my pocket and don't worry about it. So it's a nice knife, and it is sort of slender, but it has a little bit of width here, so it still feels good in the hand, even though it's a small knife. The blade steel itself is, a 420 stainless steel. So it's, it's a decent steel. That's the same kind of steel that you'd get on like a buck knife or something like that. So, it gets the job done. And this is kind of like a backup knife. This is sort of like a small little knife for doing little tasks, like I said, if you want to have it in an office, something like that. Again, made in America, so that's really nice. So this assisted open, so it's just not a normal flipper. There's basically like a U-bar in this that's under tension, and when you press that, it releases. When I first got this knife, it was really, really crisp, really, really bang, and it still is, but it's not quite. It's been worn in a little bit, so it's a little bit more. You're not worried it's going to fly out of your hand or you're going to hurt yourself once it breaks in a little bit. Also, when I first got it, it was so tight and just pow that I worried a little bit about having it in my pocket that it might, accidentally engage or open. And there's actually a safety on this, you see right here. So this little thing is a safety, and you can push it up and then lock it in place so it can't. But I actually pushed it down and then tightened it. And so now I don't have to worry about the safety at all. And I will say, now that I've had it for quite a while and used it, I'm not really worried about it, opening in my pocket. And it's not quite as crisp or as hard as it was. You can do the thumb stud there. You saw it's a little bit harder, but you can do it. But I'm not worried about it opening my pocket and hurting me. It's got a liner lock. You can see that the liner lock works really well. It definitely is, it's a nice knife. This is an aluminum handle, so it's light. It has this back spacer in it, but I like that because I feel like it keeps the centering nice, and it makes it a little bit sturdier, but it's cool. I like the thumb studs when I got it, but I kind of feel like I don't need it at all. I can do it pretty well with this hand, but I have a hard time doing the thumb studs with my left. I don't know. It's a little bit, I honestly, I think you just use this 100% of the time. You don't even really need the thumb studs, to be honest with you. And he has some versions that don't have thumb studs at all. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it because it flips so well. So that's kind of just those specifications. Like I said, if you're not familiar with Ken Onion, he is an American knife designer. I think he's lived predominantly in Hawaii most of his life, but I have seen videos of him like on his ranch in the South and things like that. But he makes a lot of knives, and he's been making knives, since the 90s, or designing knives since the 90s, maybe even, late 80s. And this whole, it's called a speed safe assist opening, was basically his invention that he did for Kershaw. and he actually ended up going into the Cutlery Hall of Fame in 2008 for this design. And there are, there's a 3-inch blade, I think there's a 3.5-inch blade, there's a 2-inch or sub 2-inch blade. So there's maybe 4 or 5 different styles of these speed assist knives in the Kershaw lineup. And then even with this, you can get all different types of, blade materials and handle materials and things like that. They've really kind of kept it over the years. And if you think about it, I mean, we're talking about a knife here, that's probably almost 25 years old, this design. This knife's not 25 years old. This knife's, a year old maybe, at best. And, but it's great. I like it. I think it gets the job done around the house. If you're looking for a smaller knife to have in the office or just to have in general, it doesn't break the bank. You can find these on sale sometimes for $40-45. Then they have higher end ones with nicer, handles or nicer, steel, and, some of those can get as expensive as $80. So, pretty much anywhere from 40 to 80. The mechanics and stuff are the same. I like this steel. The clip is so big and long and takes up so much of the handle. I wanted to get a black clip, so I ended up paying a little bit more to get the all blacked out one. But I will say this, that because I just drop it in my pocket, I wouldn't mind getting solid metal, so it was all this brushed, or kind of stone washed metal, I think that would have looked nice and would have held up in the pocket with change and stuff like that. So I've also heard about people buying like a set of these for, groomsmen gifts and things like that. And, it's a good quality knife, been around a long time, designed by Ken Onion, a world famous Hall of Fame cutlery inductee. And, I think it's definitely worth getting. Especially if you're looking for a knife in this size range. So this was one of my first flippers, and it's an assisted flipper. I haven't had any issues with it. I think it's going to last a long time. And honestly, these knives have been around for so long. I think if there's anything wrong with them, you'd see more about it on the internet. So anyway, kind of a short video. Hope you liked it. Again, always like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff, and stay tuned for more knife reviews. All right, everybody, you stay sharp out there.